We did the flag off of the dry season sensitization early in November. And the dry season is still on. There's need to continue with the sensitization, which we've done in the 6 area councils at the traditional ruler's house with its members of cabinet. Today, we have decided to continue in AMAC, the area council secretariat, with the honorable chairman and members of his cabinet. Also notice that he has representatives of different communities, AMAC, with him here. And that is because after this sensitization, it is expected that they will go back to their respective communities to create awareness. Dry season, we are all aware of the common disasters that happen within the dry season. The terrible one among them is the incessant fire outbreaks in markets, plazas, public places, in our offices, and also in residential areas. In past years, we have always witnessed fire outbreaks in markets, especially in January. Between the 1st and 10th of January, we have always experienced fire outbreaks in either markets or plazas. And that is why the Honorable Minister of FCT, Minister of State, the Permanent Secretary, and the Acting Director General of FCT, Emergency Management Agency, insisted that we should intensify the sensitization this year. It is from these hazards that it escalates into a disaster which leads to loss of lives and properties. And that is why throughout the year we carry out sensitization, we create awareness, and we are trying our best, because the management and staff of the FCT administration has said that we must intensify our efforts in order to save lives and properties, but most importantly, to save lives. We had few fire outbreaks last year. And that is why we have to intensify the sensitization to create awareness on the residents of FCT. Today that we are in AMAC, it is expected that the chairman and members of his cabinet, representatives of different wards, members of the local emergency committee. We know we had earlier on inaugurated members of local emergency committee in AMAC, but most of them have gone because we are all aware that this is a different dispensation. So we have new members of the local emergency committee and the old members. They are represented here. We also have national orientation. We have head of departments like the head of environment, head of works, head of health, and others. They are all here with us. Dry season is not a new thing, and we are all aware of climate change, not just in Nigeria, not just in FCT, but climate change has come to stay in the entire world. And the United Nations General Assembly has called all disaster managers to make sure that all hands are on deck to think of ways or come up with mitigative measures to prevent fire outbreaks within this dry season and other related disasters that normally happen within the dry season. You are all aware that within this period, apart from fire outbreaks, we have a lot of road crash, especially during the ember months, into the new year. And that is why the Operation Eagle Eye, organized by FEMA, we do it as a spillover into the new year. So, we also have outbreak of epidemic within this period. So, the most disasters that we have, the common disasters we have within this period, the first one is fire outbreak, road crashes, and outbreak of epidemic. So United Nations General Assembly has insisted that we should intensify our efforts to make sure we prevent. And if we cannot prevent, we should come up with good mitigative measures put in place to make sure we reduce the impact just in case anything happens. But FCT Emergency Management Agency, we are trying as much as possible to make sure we keep the flag flying. You'll recall in 2022, there was no loss of life in FCT during flooding. It was only FCT in the whole country that never recorded any loss of life. We recorded zero loss of life.
A very good morning to all of you.
Properties were lost. Why? Because we had to remove structures that were obstructions on waterways. And after we had removed these structures, water had a free flow, and that was it. So, United Nations General Assembly wants us to continue with that, and that is why during this dry season, we have decided that we carry out the sensitization in the area council's chairman's office with his members of cabinet and other representatives from different communities so that they can take the message back. Within this period, we are calling on the residents of FCT to make sure they switch off all electrical appliances, both at home, in their homes, offices, public places, markets, plazas, wherever you know you have electrical appliances. If they are not in use, or if you are not in the office or at that location, please make sure you switch off all electrical appliances. And when you are building, do not use amateur technicians. Get qualified technicians to do the wiring in your houses, in your offices, in whatever structure you are building. And at the same time, keep to the building codes. Do not build houses under high tension wires. Do not sell petroleum products indiscriminately. Petroleum products are supposed to be sold only in designated locations like the filling stations. Those locations that are approved are the locations to sell petroleum products. Is it the gas we use for cooking? Please check your gas cylinders. Make sure your gas cylinders are not expired cylinders. We are all doing this to make sure we save lives. We count lives first. No bush burnings. If you have refuse that you want to burn, waste that you have put together, dig a hole, light it, stand around there, just hang around and make sure you put it off completely. People clearing their farms, we are discouraging them from bush burnings because you never can tell how fast the flame or a piece of fire may just become wild. We are advising farmers to do it manually, but if they must burn it, they should be around there to put it out completely. Now we have smokers that we cannot control. There is nothing we can do. It's their life. The Ministry of Health has discouraged people from smoking because people smoking are liable to death, early death, amateur death. But some people still insist. If you insist that you must smoke, when you finish with your cigarette, your half cigarette, make sure you trash it with your foot and ensure that the fire is completely out. There are so many other things. We have the FCT Fire Service, Federal Fire Service. They are already set. All hands are on deck. Because we have the quick response team. And FCT Fire Service has directed by the minister have fire stations cut across the FCT in strategic locations. Make sure you call 112 at any point in time you know you have any kind of disaster. Is it a road crash, outbreak of fire, building collapse, epidemic outbreak? Please make sure you contact the appropriate body. But first of all, don't forget to call 112, which is a toll-free number. With or without network, you can get across to the national emergency number. With or without credit, you can place a call to the 112. We want to really appreciate the chairman of Abuja Municipal Area Council, who has given us this opportunity and has invited members of his cabinet and other representatives from other communities to be here to listen to this sensitization put in place by the FCT administration. Good as it is, we have representatives of national orientation, the local emergency, members of the local emergency committee that are our critical stakeholders, and we have our volunteers from AMAC, local divers, vanguards, disaster marshals. And let me not forget that all of you members of the press, you recall we have inaugurated you. You are part of our disaster marshals and you have been doing a good job. I really want to appreciate you. Keep the flag flying. Continue to spread this sensitization, which is already on about 10 TV stations and 10 radio houses. We have it on printed media, we have it on social media, and we have the website of FCT Emergency Management Agency and the website of FCT Administration. The jingles are all there. The jingles are in 5 languages: Hausa, Igbo, Yoruba, English, and Gbagi. We are going to add 4 more languages because when we went to traditional ruler's house, he notified us that there are 9 basic languages in the FCT. As such, this year we are going to add 4 to the 5 we already have to make sure it gets to the grassroots. Disaster management is everybody's business, including children that are of school age.